Her friends laughed at him. They went silent after what he said. They were laughing before I even reached the table. Not polite laughter, not nervous laughter, the kind that sharpens itself on someone else's humiliation. I stopped a few steps away, close enough to hear my name, close enough to recognize the tone. Her tone. "Relax," she said, waving her hand dismissively, glass clinking with ice. "You know how he is, so serious, always watching, always thinking." More laughter. I stood there, coat still on, keys warm in my palm. No one noticed me yet. I watched her lean back in her chair, confident, beautiful, untouchable. 10 years of knowing exactly how to command a room, 10 years of knowing how to shrink me without ever raising her voice. Someone asked, "So does he actually believe you?" She smiled, just slightly. That smile landed in my chest like a quiet explosion. "Yes," she said, "of course he does." They laughed again. Something inside me slowed, like the world had dropped into a lower gear. I didn't feel anger yet. Anger is loud, sloppy. What I felt was colder. A calm awareness that whatever I thought my marriage was, it wasn't that anymore. She finally looked up. Our eyes met. For half a second her smile faltered. Then she recovered, too quickly. "Oh," she said, "you're early." I nodded. And in that moment, standing there, listening to the echoes of their laughter still vibrating in the air, I understood something fundamental. They thought I was a joke. They had no idea how wrong they were. I took a seat without saying a word. That silence unsettled them more than anger ever could. Her friends watched me with curiosity now, appraisal, like spectators waiting to see whether the quiet man would finally snap. She leaned toward me, hand brushing my arm, a performance. "You okay?" she asked softly. "You look tired." Translation, "Don't embarrass me." I smiled, a small one. "I'm fine," I said. That was true. I had been fine for weeks, because suspicion, once it matures, becomes preparation. It had started small, late dinners, inside jokes that didn't include me, her phone turning face down on the table. Classic signs, obvious signs. But what hurt wasn't the betrayal. It was the ease with which she wore it, like a second skin. I remembered the first time I noticed the shift. She came home energized, glowing, talked about her friends more than usual, about how they understood her. I watched her carefully. I always did. Love makes you blind. Habit makes you observant. And somewhere between the two, I saw the truth taking shape. Tonight wasn't an accident. This dinner, this audience, they weren't just laughing at me. They were laughing with her. I caught fragments of conversation. Does he still think? God, can you imagine? She could do so much better. I stared at the table. Wood grain, reflections, the steady beat of my pulse. I didn't interrupt. I cataloged. Every word was evidence, and I was already far past denial. I didn't confront her that night. That's the part people never understand. They think strength is immediate reaction, volume, rage. They're wrong. Strength is restraint. After dinner, in the car, she talked too much, filled the silence with jokes, stories, harmless observations. She knew something had shifted. She just didn't know what. I nodded, smiled, responded when necessary. At home, she fell asleep quickly. I didn't. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to the rhythm of her breathing, and I planned. Over the following weeks, I became invisible. I stopped asking questions, stopped checking in. Instead, I watched. Her patterns revealed themselves easily once I stopped interfering with them. I noticed the same number appearing on her phone. I noticed the timing of her moods. I noticed how she dressed on certain days. I didn't hack anything, didn't sloop recklessly. I let her give herself away. One night, she left her laptop open, not locked, just careless. I didn't rush. I read slowly. Emails, messages, plans. Affection disguised as jokes. Intimacy hidden behind humor. And then the truth. Not just infidelity, mockery. She wrote about me, my habits, my silences, my patience. She called it endearing. Her friends called it pathetic. I closed the laptop gently. No shaking hands, no racing heart. Just clarity. The moment you truly understand betrayal, it stops being personal. It becomes structural, and structures can be dismantled. The opportunity came naturally. Another dinner, another audience. This time I was expected. They greeted me politely, warmly, like hosts welcoming entertainment. I watched her carefully as she laughed, told stories, commanded attention. She was radiant, confident, unaware that the script had already changed. At some point someone made a joke, something about men like him. They laughed. I didn't. I raised my glass. The sound cut through the room, soft, controlled. "I have something to say," I said. They turned, all eyes on me now. Her smile froze. I didn't look at her. Looked at her friends. "I've been very quiet," I continued, "and I know what people assume about quiet men." I paused, let the silence stretch.
They think we don't notice. A shift in the air. "I want to thank you," I said calmly, "for being so honest." Confusion. Fear. I turned to her then. "And you," I said softly, "for underestimating me." Her face drained of color. I didn't raise my voice, didn't accuse. I simply placed my phone on the table. Unlocked. Messages visible. Dates. Names. Truth. No explanation needed. Her friends went silent. Not awkward silence. Shock silence. The kind that feels like oxygen leaving the room. She stood up. "Please," she said. "Let's talk about this at home." I shook my head. "No," I replied. "This is where it belongs." I turned back to the table. "You laughed at me," I said. "You thought I didn't hear you." I met their eyes one by one. "But I did." I faced her again. "You enjoyed humiliating me," I continued. "You needed an audience." My voice remained steady. "So here we are." Her hands trembled. I leaned in slightly. Not threatening. Final. "I'm not angry," I said. "I'm finished." Gasps. Whispers. I stood, picked up my coat, and then I said the words that broke her. "I already filed." Silence. Absolute. She reached for me. I stepped back and walked away. Outside, the air was cold, clean. I breathed deeply for the first time in months. I didn't feel victorious, didn't feel relieved. I felt light. There is a difference. Betrayal teaches you something essential. Not about love, about power. Power isn't dominance. It isn't revenge. It's knowing when someone no longer has access to you. I drove home alone. No music, no noise, just the road. And as the city lights blurred past, I realized something quietly profound. They laughed because they thought I was weak. They went silent because they learned the truth. I was never weak. I was simply done.